Hello friends, I welcome you in lecture number 42 on logic. In this lecture also we will discuss two examples on rules of inference for propositional logic. In this topic we are checking or determining the validity of given argument or argument form, and for that we are using standard rules of inferences. So we start with this example. Here we are asked to demonstrate that capital R is a valid inference from the premises P implies Q, Q implies R and P. Or we have to prove that these three premises imply that R is a valid conclusion. So instead of asking in this way, they can ask this question in this way also, that determine the validity of following argument form. Determine the validity of argument or argument form. Here they have used this arbitrary variables P, Q and R. Therefore we have this argument form in which premises are P implies Q, Q implies R, P, and conclusion is R. So sometimes they can ask in this way also, that demonstrate or prove that R is a valid inference from these three premises. So we start by two column proof as we have done in earlier lectures. We will write down in one column we will write down statement, and here we will write down reason corresponding to that statement. Here first step is we start with this first premise, that is P implies Q. So here we will mention that we are using premise. Then we can consider second premise, which is Q implies R, and here also we mention that premise we are using, and we want to conclude R. So before using this premise, we can observe that for statement 1 and 2 we can apply this rule of inference, which is called hypothetical syllogism. Using hypothetical syllogism on statement 1 and 2. So you can see here I have P implies Q and here I have Q implies R. Therefore by hypothetical syllogism we have P implies R. Then we use this premise. So in the next step we write down capital P, that is nothing but premise, and if you observe in step number 3 and 4 you can apply modus ponens. Modus ponens on 3 and 4. So here we have conditional statement P implies R, and this P is repeated here. Therefore applying modus ponens we will get R here, and we require that our conclusion is capital R. Therefore we can say that this R is a valid inference from the given premises. So we will answer in that way in which they have asked the question. So therefore we can write that R is a valid inference from premises, or we can simply write from given premises. Premises are P implies Q, Q implies R and capital P. Now you can have another way of showing this validity of given argument. For example, if I select another way, so I am writing or here our argument is P implies Q, Q implies R and P. Let me check again. P implies Q, Q implies R and P, and we want our conclusion as capital R. So I can write in another way also. First I am writing statement here. Here I will write down reason which I will use, and we start with first premise, that is P implies Q, and here we mention that we have written premise. Now in this proof we have written P implies Q and Q implies R, that is we have first used first and second premise. Now instead of going in this way, we can use P implies Q and third premise, that is P. So here I am using P implies Q and P first. So let me write P here, and P is again premise. And if we use modus ponens on 1 and 2, we can use modus ponens on 1 and 2. Here I have P implies Q and here I have P, therefore here I have to write capital Q, and then I will use next premise, that is Q implies R. So here I am writing Q implies R, that is premise, and now I can apply modus ponens on 3 and 4. So here I will write modus ponens on 3 and 4, and you can see here I have Q implies R, here I have Q, therefore using modus ponens I will get R here, and we require capital R, and that is obtained here using this sequence of steps also. So there is no strict rule that you should go in this sequence of steps. You can use your choice of sequence of steps, and be careful that all the reasons are valid. There is no error in writing these reasons as well as statements, and you get your conclusion at the end after some finite number of steps. So here there are two ways for showing that R is a valid inference from the given premises. We consider now another example. Here also we have to check that, or we have to prove that R or S follows locally from the premises C or D. C or D implies negation H implies A and negation B, and A and negation B implies R or S. So here we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 premises, and we have so many statement variables here, A, B, C, D, H, R and S. And if you recall, we can show the validity of argument using truth table also, but whenever we have this type of number of variables are greater than 3, here I have how many variables? A, B, C, D, H, R and S, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 variables. So using truth table will be tedious method or uncomfortable method for checking the validity of this argument. So in this type of examples or problems, it is better that we prefer using rules of inference to show that given argument is valid. Here using truth table will be very lengthy or tedious process for checking the validity of this argument. So here we are using our method using rules of inferences which we are familiar, and we have two column proof here, statement and reason. And we will not start with C or D. We can see here I have C or D implies negation H, and here I have negation H implies A and negation B. So I can start with these two premises and I can use hypothetical syllogism, and I will have C or D implies A and negation B. Then I will use this premise. So be careful in choosing the sequence of steps here. There is no general rule to select the sequence of steps in this proof, but you will have idea by practicing more and more problems. That is the reason why I have taken number of problems of this type in this lecture series. So first I start by writing this premise: C or D implies negation H, and reason is we have used premise. Then so I have used this one. Then I am writing this premise: negation H implies A and negation B. This is also premise. And now using hypothetical syllogism on 1 and 2, what I will obtain? I will obtain C or D implies A and negation B, and reason is hypothetical syllogism on statement 1 and 2. Hypothetical syllogism on 1 and 2. Then we will use this premise: A and negation B implies R or S. So let me write here: A and negation B implies R or S, and this is our premise. So I have used this one now, and after that I can apply again hypothetical syllogism on 3 and 4. So first I am writing the reason: hypothetical syllogism on statement 3 and 4, and we will have this A and negation B will disappear, and we are left with C or D implies R or S. And what we require our conclusion as R or S, and we have used all these premises, and we have not used C or D yet. So now we are using C or D here. So number 6 is C or D, that is our premise. And what we require R or S as conclusion. So now you can see, if you observe step number 5 and 6 clearly, then they look in this form. If you recall, we have P implies Q and P, and we will obtain Q. That is modus ponens rule of inference. So here you can see, instead of P we have C or D, and here we have R or S. So using modus ponens on statement 5 and 6, we obtain R or S, and that is the required conclusion: modus ponens on 5 and 6. Therefore we can say that this R or S follows, or R or S follows from the premises. R or S follows from given premises, and that we have shown using rules of inferences. And you can observe, mainly we are using modus ponens and hypothetical syllogism. So those two rules of inferences are very important. So this is all about this session. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching.